Welcome back to the Big Blue Lifers podcast. I'm Mr. U. That's Jess. We're here to talk all things New York Football Giants. But before we get into all that stuff, man, I think I said Happy Thanksgiving before. I'm not sure if I did, but if I didn't, man, how was your holiday weekend, brother?
It was good, man. Can't really complain too much. Ate way too much food. Was getting back in the groove of working out, lost some weight. Then Thanksgiving weekend came along, got it all back. So that's always nice.
Okay, that's good. That sounds good, man. All right, you ate and you're back on the routine. That's a good thing, man. Don't need to go into a holiday coma. That's not really necessary. Just enjoy family and friends and food, and
turkey, mac and cheese, meatballs, pumpkin pie, mashed potatoes.
Meatballs forever. Okay, meatballs. All right, that's a great idea.
Things at the Saving House.
I didn't. But... All right, so this is a cultural thing we're talking about right now. Meatballs is kind of cultural.
I don't know, man. I think it was just something. I don't know why or when we decided to do meatballs. My Nana used to have like this one recipe where the sauce is actually more of it's like a raspberry sauce or something, like a blackberry sauce. Like it's not your traditional marinara, and it's really good. And she knew me and my sister loved it. And way back in the day, we were way pickier eaters. So we would that would be like the main thing we'd eat during Thanksgiving. And then I grew up and started expanding my palate, as it were. And but they've just kind of stuck. They've just stuck, and now they're a staple at our Thanksgiving. What about you? What you got? Any interesting foods that the Yusuf household eats?
Interesting foods where I'm my wife can cook, but I'm the formal chef of the house. I'm classically trained, or whatever. So I keep it real simple because I don't, sometimes at that time of the year I don't really want to do anything. So for me, it's like, okay, I gotta figure out some way to make this thing work. So mac and cheese, like you said, the turkey. One thing we did that was different this time was me and my grandson got on the grill. I haven't done that for Thanksgiving in quite a while. So we went out and grilled everything, every meat but the turkey was on the grill. So that was a nice departure from the normal. It was fun, man. It wasn't nothing extravagant, man. It was some close, intimate family stuff, and it was really good, man. I'm excited about it. We didn't get a chance to get into our episode for last week because of the holidays and I was locked in prepping in the kitchen. I couldn't get out of anything, so that was going to work out. So hopefully we'll try to make up for that with today's episode if that's possible. But we're going to talk a little bit about Week 12. Honestly, for me, it was yet another gut punch because I know that there's a group of people in our Giants community that just want us to just lose everything that you think is better that way. Lose everything, get the number one pick, potentially, probably number two pick or whatever, and they're good with that. But I'll be honest, man. I mean, I want to be in the top 10 because I think there's going to be some value there for us. Whether we pick one of your guys that you like a lot, you like 2 or 3 guys in that top 10, or we just drop down and amass some more picks in the draft. For me, I'm on the second side of that. I'd rather do that part, be in the top 10, but amass some more picks. But man, I love seeing our guys fight, man. It's a gut punch because we had 2 overtime losses this year. I think the first one was Denver, and the other one was last week against Detroit. And it's rough because
Dallas, actually. First one was Dallas, and then Dallas and then Detroit. If we play a team that city starts with D, then we're going to overtime this year.
Dallas, so Denver was regulation, and okay, I didn't realize that. I thought it was overtime. Okay, so Dallas and Detroit, all D teams, same difference, right? But I love seeing my guys fight, man. And it was like, man, I want to see them win, man. I can't help it. It's been a long time since I've seen this kind of moxie from the guys. I mean, if everybody's healthy, like I think you speculated on this 2 weeks ago, if everybody was healthy and we started the right people, had the right people coaching us, that's really important to this conversation. We're going to get into that too. Do you imagine about a 3-headed monster in Dart, Scat, and Malik just having them there and not including the guys that we know can produce outside of them. But they've been doing it in a secondary role to where they should be anyway. Could you imagine the chaos we would have created? I mean, it wasn't hard, a 10-win team. You and I predicted something in the same 8, 9, 10-win area, and it was not. It wasn't make believe. There was valid reason for it. I look at the wins that we had and the losses. This is potentially a 10-win team right here in 2025, which is like incredible from a great departure from last year, we were the bottom feeders and throwing dirt on us. So it's like we're not a 10-win team now, to be clear, but right there. So
with the most frustrating thing is even when not fully healthy, we could still very well be in, like, right now, as of Monday, December 1st, 2025. I think we're in week 13 now. We would be an 8-win team, or we would have at least 7, 8 wins if we just had better coaching. Not even fully healthy, because we have had these weeks where we have still very much been in it without Paulson and Daboll on defense, without Javon Holland on defense, without Kayvon Thibodeau on defense. And we are still going into the final possession of games, going into overtime against top NFC contenders in Detroit and Green Bay these last 2 weeks alone with Jameis Winston. Who, let's be real, is probably like a very low-end starting caliber quarterback. Jameis Winston is what we thought Russ would be going into the year, if you remember us talking about that. Like, because we thought Russ was going to be able to provide, like, consistent offense, albeit somewhat limited. And you know the limitations with Jameis. You know he's going to throw that interception. You know he's going to make a bunch of throws that should be intercepted but somehow aren't. But he's going to throw the deep ball. He's going to keep you in games. You can roll him out. Jameis Winston is essentially what I thought Russell Wilson, and I believe what you thought Russell Wilson was going to be in the beginning of the year. And we see what this team is capable with. Wan'Dale Robinson going out and having a career day, almost dragging me back into things in fantasy last week just by himself.
Absolutely, man.
And I think it's so much. And again, I don't want every week for us to have the same conversation about, like, Joe Shane and should he stay, should he go. But I think it is going to be very telling now that, and we're going to get into this a bit more, now that Bowen is finally gone, we're going to really see what Kafka and some of these other guys still on staff, what they can do if Shane has made some good decisions in, his coaching approvals, although I imagine Daboll brought most of these guys over. But so much of it, and again, what I was going to be saying is the fact that Joe Shane has successfully improved this offensive line. This is easily the best offensive line we have had since 2008, 2009, around then. Definitely not the turn of the decade. That's when things really started going off the rails. But, and now Andrew Thomas, I don't know if you've seen this. Andrew Thomas is not top 10 in Pro Bowl voting right now. Andrew Thomas is not. That is insane. Andrew Thomas this season is top 3, I would say. Bare minimum top 5 left tackle in football. Never mind top 10 in the NFC.
Yeah.
But But the fact is, like, this is why I have faith that Dart can succeed next year if we get a defensive coach. And that's as long as the offensive coordinator is still good, and this offensive line gives him time, allows him to work his magic, allows him to play some backyard football. And he's able to go out there, and he and Jameis are throwing guys open. They're putting guys in positions to win. And thus the offenses. That's why like Daboll's gone and we're still clicking on offense. The issue this year is not the offense. Especially if you look at like week 4 on. So, I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see how Dart plays tonight. I think outside of Denver, this will be the best defense he's gone against all year with these Patriots. Christian Gonzalez, I haven't checked both teams' injury reports, but if he's healthy, he is a top 5 corner in football. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Dart and Kafka are calling this game or playing this game, and what exactly we're going to be able to do on offense with Tyrone Tracy at lead back instead of Cam Scatterbo against a defense this good. It's going to be very interesting tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting tonight for sure. But before we get into what's happening tonight, because all we can do is really preview that. But, honestly, the whole Jameis thing, I'm going to keep this one real brief and short, man. I'm grateful for Jameis. I'm grateful for what he brought to the table. I thought I said that.
We are thankful for Jameis. Not grateful, thankful.
Very, very thankful. I'm grateful too, because honestly, I thought that's what Russ would do, but he didn't do that. And when Jameis came in, lit a fire under us. The team can physically and emotionally see them respond to what he was doing. And that's something that's very, very rare. I don't know any back. Back in the day, one of the most common names in backup was Chase Daniels back in the day. The team didn't respond to him like that. When Drew Brees was out, Chase Daniels, the team didn't galvanize around Chase Daniels. I can name a whole bunch of different backups. It never happened. In this case, the Giants responded to Jameis, and they played like that. So I'm grateful for him. I'm happy for him. One thing about this conversation that I'm learning something new about this part right here is that when coaches get canned, I'm like, you know what? I was like, oh, it's not fair. You should give him a chance. What you said is why they don't get that much of a leash, because even when guys are injured, like our guys, they still expect us to coach that team and make them still be competitive. People think they make it's unfair. We lost some main guys. The Giants are a great example of what happens. You lose your main guys and you still compete. You still fight down to the wire. In a lot of ways, man, that's signs of good coaching. So I'm excited about that for the future. As you already know, Brian Daboll has been relieved of his duties. So he's gone. Shane Bowen was gone, I think, around the same time as our last episode. So now we're sitting here looking to see if Kafka is going to have the job outright, or at least get into the interview process, or if he's going to be moving on and somebody else coming through. Like you said, a defensive-minded coach potentially coming in. So a lot of names flowing out there. Haven't heard anything new since the last time we talked. So we don't have to touch that stuff at all. But at this point, man, the old lines, I would say, overperforming, which is a good thing. Defense is like, we kind of in the same place we were 2 weeks ago. I'm still seeing some of the same things. But let's get into what we saw with Detroit, because that's a team that I'm pretty sure you and I both agreed Giants wasn't winning that game. That's how we felt about it way back when we did our predictions. And they almost proved us wrong out there. So really excited to see them play with some heart. I hated that we got gassed in the running game the way that we did. That was awful. I really hated that part. But this one's like you already stated already, I did as well. This one's silver linings for these Giants right here. This is the team that, first of all, people in the league want to be a part of this, which is like it's a telltale sign that we're headed in the right direction. It's been 14 years about, so I've been counting the years down in agony. So it's been 14 years. We've been really, really competitive and good, and this team has the potential to be that and be back into the competitive, potentially playoff, potentially even Super Bowl contending conversation. So I'm excited about what looks like a turnaround right here. But anything that jumps out for you from the Lions game besides getting gashed is all get out in the run game. Anything else jump out at you?
I mean, like you said, I feel like it's been a lot of the same. We were gashed in the run game. Our linebacking core really needs to be better. We need a better defensive tackle too out there alongside Dexter Lawrence, who can, we don't need another pass rushing defensive tackle. We need a run stuffing defensive tackle. Just like a big body to eat up blocks, let Dexter Lawrence, do his thing. And it seems like a lot is kind of coming out now that with Bowen gone, that Lawrence was on, on that final run by Gibbs. The Dexter Lawrence wasn't out there, and people are asking why. And it really seems like he has been playing through the elbow issue this year. It isn't that Dexter Lawrence has truly lost a step, that he's a worse player now, but rather that he isn't fully recovered. That's why all of a sudden he's wearing an elbow brace, and now they were load managing him essentially. And he was devastated. He was on the sideline crying, according to Patterson, and I don't remember what exactly Lawrence said
I didn't see or hear
regarding that line of questioning, but he I do remember he wasn't happy that he wasn't out there for that. And hopefully, if we need to shut him down for the rest of the year. We were the first team eliminated from playoff contention. Shut him down for the year. It's okay. We're not fighting for the playoffs. I know players want to win, but this isn't a tank. The reason behind this isn't tanking. It's get healthy. We're going to have a new staff next year. I think the guys in the locker room know that this is a better team than the record suggests. Like, we have only not been in like 1 or 2 games this year. Washington week 1 with Russell Wilson at quarterback, and then San Francisco. Those are the only games where it really felt like from top to bottom, we just were not in it. That second game against Philly, who knows what happens if Cam Scatterbo is still healthy. It doesn't get injured, and they actually call things right that game. Because we were in that game despite everything, in my personal opinion. But, I think we're going to see this defense now without Bowen. What kind of changes will they be making, if any? Because if they do make changes and the results are the same, then it's more of a personnel issue than, we really gave it credit for. But let's see if Abdul Carter can actually go in and get some sacks. Because if all of a sudden the defense is performing even a bit better, then I think that's really going to be an indicator that, again, I hate to bring it back to him, but that Joe Shane should stay. Because if all of a sudden now, our defense is getting way more pressure, our defensive line is lighting it up, the run defense is 10% better, if there are tangible improvements, then it's not necessarily the personnel. And all of a sudden we're going to have that kind of conversation, a real in-depth conversation. But
I think you're already there.
Well, no, I mean, now that Bowen is gone, we need to start having the conversation, because I think everybody all year we've been like, this defense would be playing so much better if we had anybody but Bowen.
Yeah, I blame Bowen for quite a bit. I would ask you about that, because I don't have anybody else to ask that, and you're definitely the person to ask. You've been watching the game just like me. So Bowen's gone. We're happy about that. I did a short celebration, and I realized, somebody's family is involved in this, so I kind of felt bad after that. But anyway, a few days before he was officially relieved of his duties, interim head coach Mike Kafka publicly endorsed him, saying he has the utmost confidence. He got the vote of confidence. And then less than 2 days later, I think it was, he canned him right after that game, and didn't even tell Mara about it. Tell me, that's a tale of 2 Kafkas right there. What do you think about that? Tell me why you believe Kafka made that move after publicly endorsing him the first time, 2 days before that.
And you seem to disagree with this a bit when I brought it up. And again, I want to reiterate that when I said this was not me saying what I would do, but that I believe that they took this approach because when you fire your head coach, there is a massive amount of turnover. And Kafka then had to take on way more responsibility than he had previously had. So I think he didn't then say, let's also just get rid of Bowen immediately, because he needed to get his footing. He needed to get his head above water. And if he could just be like, again, this is a lost season. Everybody knows Bowen sucks. No one in the locker room likes Bowen. So if the defense still struggles, then I can just kind of, again, similar to Daboll, have that scapegoat. And then once he kind of figured out that, okay, I know how I'm doing this. I know how I'm approaching every week, and then it's like, okay, but now I need to get wins. Goodbye, Bowen. And that's what he was waiting for, just so that way he could get his bearings, figure things out. Because again, it is a lot of responsibility. He didn't have an off season of, kind of slowly getting into the thing of things. It was mid-season. This is the second time ever, I believe, that the Giants have fired a coach mid-season, or at the very least, second time in the 21st century. I think they might have done it like once or twice in the, I don't know if it was like the 70s or 80s or something. A bit before my time, needless to say. But yeah, no, it's not something that teams like to do for a reason. And it isn't just the optics, it's a lot of practical things. But yeah, I think he waited. He said the politically correct things. He did the coaches speak, didn't throw anybody under the bus. I know and I say we as media members, but you and I are a very small part of a kind of media. But people in the media love the proper sound bites of, if Kafka just came out and said, yeah, Shane Bowen sucks, it's his fault, he can't say that. So I think he did the politically correct thing, bided his time, found his footing, found water, figured out, okay, this is how I want to be doing things. And then once he figured all that out, got rid of Bowen. I think that was the approach.
It had to happen because the giving up explosive plays it's been pretty bad. That Lions game. I mean, I love me some Jahmyr Gibbs. I think he's one of the best, if not the best, back in the league. But man, one play of 49 yards, one play of 69 yards, 219 yards total and 2 touchdowns. Just big explosive play, just took the heart out of the game. But I'll ask you a question about the Lions. I'm listening to the Lions show, but we lost by 7 in OT. Are the Lions for real or are they frauds, in your opinion?
I mean, I think they're for real-ish.
For real-ish?
Yeah.
I don't think that was one of my options.
No. So before the season started and before we were doing this podcast, I had been under the impression that the Lions were going to take a step back this year, particularly on offense, due to the changes in the offensive line, especially at the interior. They lost their all-pro center, Frank Ragnow. They lost, I think it was Kevin Zeitler at right guard. And then they had to move one of their left guards to center. One of their backup guards is now their starting left guard, and they're starting a rookie at right guard. So, there was a lot of changes that were happening, and I thought that they were going to take a step back, that they weren't going to be the tippy top peak of the NFC, but they were going to be much more in that, congested tier 2 area. I thought the 2 best teams were going to end up being the Eagles and the Rams coming out of the NFC. And so, but the Giants, I thought, were still a ways away from that, So the fact that we played as well as we did against them, the fact that we played as well as we did against the Packers, the fact that we played as well as we did against a team like Denver and that we've done against Philly. Right now, Chicago's the number one team in the NFC because and we were right there with them. That was another double-digit lead that we blew in the fourth quarter. I think we are much closer. I don't know if it's that we are really good or just teams are now getting closer and closer together, as a whole.
I will ask you that too. Because they feel like I know there's parity. There's always been parity in the league. But right now, you can barely pick the winner of the Super Bowl. I mean, there's been many years where I was able to pick at least a team that's going to be in the Super Bowl and be accurate and right about it. At least for the past 4, 5, 6 years. This year, I avoided it like the plague because I was like, I can't pick. I don't know who's going to be in it. And I don't know who's going to win it either. So maybe there's a little bit of both on that one. Maybe it's a 55-45 split because there is some parity. I think things are changing as far as the power dynamics. Seems like the Steelers don't look like that anymore. Buffalo, to be the incumbent, the team to go to the Super Bowl and finally win it all after all these years. They don't look like they're going to be doing that either. The Niners have their own set of problems. The Eagles are probably very likely not to repeat. So perhaps it is some parity. Honestly, I don't know the answer to that question escapes me. I can't say for sure. I think we are better than we were, but there is parity in the league as well. So I don't know what the answer is. If you guys that are watching and listening have an answer for us, drop it in the comment section, drop it in the chat. We'd love to hear from you guys, but I have no idea what the answer is, but it's probably a little bit of both, in my humble opinion. Where we going next?
So, hate having to talk about this, but that Malik Neighbors tweet, man.
Oh, boy.
I do not want this to end up being an OBJ situation. We have this phenomenal wide receiver out of LSU, starts, gets banged up, a season-ending injury. Next thing you know, there's all this talk about, him being a diva, him being a problem in the locker room, all that fun stuff. Only for us to then kind of burn that bridge and end up training him. I am worried that Malik Neighbors will never be the same player again. An ACL is not nothing to sneeze at, even though it isn't as bad as it used to be. That is still a very serious injury. I'm hoping that because it's not an Achilles, some of that psychological stuff, it just won't necessarily be, I'm hoping it's a bit more recoverable. But I'm not a doctor. I have no idea. But
all right, doctor.
I don't hate the sentiment of what he tweeted about, the idea that these guys are coaching, are they trying to lose? Because I mean,
who are you talking about though? Are those guys still on the team? Because that's my question. I mean, I went through the whole LSU thing. I got flashbacks too. But who's he talking about? Guys that are not on the team anymore?
No, he's talking that makes sense. I can probably he's talking about the coaches.
Yeah,
going for
like Bowen, right?
I think honestly it was Kafka.
Oh,
I think it was Kafka. Well, if I'm remembering correctly, because it's now deleted, I don't have a screenshot of it. Did we? I think you sent it in our chat. Let me, because I want to have this right, because this is a very kind of touchy subject. So, and I don't want to put words out there that shouldn't be.
And I thought it was still doing the.
This is what Neighbors tweeted. Sometimes I think they be making us lose on purpose. Because it's no way, bro. You throw the ball instead of running it to make them burn 2 timeouts, then you don't kick the field goal. Then they have to go down and score. Football common sense. Am I missing something? So he is referring to at the very end of the game, I think it was against Detroit. Yeah, I'm pretty 99% sure it was against Detroit, where instead of just running the ball the next 2 plays, forcing them to burn the rest of their timeouts and taking 3, so that way they would have to then go the length of the field to score a touchdown with no timeouts. That is what he's criticizing. Now, I don't hate what we did. Again, and this is similar to what happened in the Denver game with Daboll, in that I don't hate his thought process about not playing not to lose, but playing to win, going for the kill shot, throwing the ball, trying to score the touchdown. Now, I do think we should have at least run it one more time. I do not remember the exact ending sequence there, but we were pinning them at their own 2-3 yard line at the very end of the game. The issue is we didn't burn enough time. Similar to Denver, we just didn't burn enough time at the end. But I don't hate the mindset there. But I can understand why people wouldn't like that. When it doesn't work out the way that you want it to, obviously it's like hindsight's 20/20. But if it did and we're up a touchdown, or no, we would have been up 10, that would have been, I mean, barring an unbelievably historic collapse again, that game would have been over. They wouldn't have had enough time to get a field goal and a touchdown with 2 timeouts and however much time was left on the clock. Like, statistically speaking, the game would have been over.
Okay.
But Malik Neighbors is a passionate guy. I do not fault that passion. I want him to keep that passion. I want him to not want to lose. I love that he is sick of this, because I'm sick of this. You're sick of this. The guys in that locker room are sick of this. And clearly there is a disconnect between certain sects of the locker room and the coaching staff. And I don't know, man. Like, I don't fault Malik Neighbors for doing it. I think probably would have been best if he didn't. But at the end of the day, like, in that moment, he tweeted what I was thinking.
Okay. Yeah. I got a lot I want to say on this. So I'll try to be brief so we can move on to the next topic. For me, I don't really care about people airing stuff out on social media. I think it's a bad idea no matter how you slice it. But coming from our number 1 wide receiver, I think he had the right to speak his mind and be frustrated. That medium to use it to vent your frustrations, I don't really get with that one. I just find it very, very convenient that a team that hasn't done anything like this all year long, they haven't played with that kind of going for the kill shot kind of mentality, like you eloquently stated, going for the kill shot. They haven't done that all year long. It could be a Daboll thing versus a Kafka thing. I don't know. I'm just saying it hasn't happened. And all of a sudden now you want to try to do that with a fallback option being you getting a higher draft pick. I just find that very, very convenient. If it doesn't work out, oh no, we lost. Guess what we get? A higher draft pick. That's not really the undercurrent of confidence that you want to have in a team. So for me, I didn't really like to play, because if you really wanted to win, that salary was the right way to get there, but it's not the smart way to get there. Now we're talking about football IQ now, because the clock management thing, talk about that since week 2. I mentioned it off and on since week 2 for sure. I'm positive it's on tape, it's on video. And was that good football IQ? Because what you said, instead of going for the kill shot, that was smart football. Managing the clock, taking it out of their hands, making them run the length of the field. That's what good football teams do. So my only point on that one, I'm not really getting into the tweet. I don't think it should have been used, but I get the frustration. I think we both share that with him. We want to see his team do more and and go further. And I don't, like I said earlier in the outset of the show, I don't mind if we win games. Honestly, if we stay in the top 10, I'm good with it. But I want people to know, you know what, that we're not your doormats anymore. You can't play us and get an automatic dub. You might lose your spot, your standing if you play us and come in there half stepping. But that's just me though. That's the New York kid coming out saying, you know what, you can push us around. We're gonna push back. You can hit me and hit you back. Bring a knife to a gunfight type kind of thing. But anyway, what's next on the docket, brother? Let's keep moving.
Well, I mean,
talking about Eli. breaking my heart. That's breaking my heart right now.
I feel like let's save Eli for last. Let's save Eli for last because there was a funny tweet that came out that Eli actually responded to about him being the next head coach at Ole Miss. But
right.
Sorry, man, allergy season. Things are
really
kicking my butt. Yeah,
I thought it was too cold. I thought it was too cold for that, but I didn't feel some stuff too though.
I don't know if it's my allergies or if I've got like some kind of head cold or what, but anyways,
you asked a question about who should the Giants resign. That's a great question. Let's talk about that, man. Who should the Giants resign?
That's what I was thinking. I was trying to think of a good transitionary sentence there. Really take us to the next topic. Find a way to organically do it. But yeah, so the Giants are going to have several key free agents this offseason and not a lot of money to work with. Now, there are going to be plenty of moves that they can do, some restructures, some cuts like Graham Gano, possibly Okereke, James Hudson. They're going to have means to free up cap space. But we've got Jermaine Illuminor, Cordell Flott, Wandale Robinson, Micah McFadden, Daniel Bellinger, and Dane Belton, all pending free agents this offseason. Luckily, we had picked up Kayvon Thibodeau's fifth-year option. But for me, in terms of order of importance to bring back, and, the guys that I would most like to see come back, for me, it goes Jermaine Illuminor, number 1, Cordell Flott, number 2, Micah McFadden, number 3, Daniel Bellinger, number 4, Wandale Robinson, 5.
Who's number 3?
Number 3 was Micah. Number 3 was McFadden.
Oh, copy. Got it.
Number 4 was Bellinger. Number 5 is Wandale. And number 6 is Belton. Now, my reasoning for that is Jermaine Illuminor has been this stud at right tackle for us. We've had one of the better tackle duos in the league the last 2 years when both are healthy. I think we can get him back on like a 2-3 year extension worth about $20 million a year. How that is, structured and stacked is obviously going to need to work within our cap restraints. Because despite the fact that we don't have a ton of cap space, we actually do have a very healthy cap situation since we're going to be able to start moving off of contracts in the next year or so.
Okay.
I think we should do that. Cordell Flott, our secondary is thin enough as it is, and he is having a career year. Bring him back for, a healthy contract. Probably can get him in like the $13 million range. Kind of like a Darius Slayton contract, almost. And for a corner, I think that'd be pretty good.
All right.
Micah McFadden, get him on a 1-2 year prove-it deal. Stay healthy, continue your improvement. I don't think Micah McFadden has a ton of negotiating power right now. Same for Bellinger. Get him on a healthy, a very cheap, short-term extension. Be like, look, you've really kind of shown that we can incorporate you into this offense. You've been an excellent, safety blanket, but,
you got the speech.
He's going to be a back
set for him too.
Huh?
You got the speech set for him too and everything. You got the whole script ready for him, huh?
I've thought about these things. I think about these things. Then when it comes to like a Wandale Robinson type, can we get him back on a Khalil Shakir kind of deal? Their exact physical builds aren't the same, but they've operated in very similar roles. Safety blanket, wide receiver 3 types in the slot. Shifty, can do a lot, can do good stuff after the catch, but they're never going to be a true number 1, barely wide receiver 2 caliber. But you'd love to have him as a wide receiver 3. If we can, it's another guy that I think could be in that 13. Sorry?
If we offer that, he would take that. If we offer Shakir's contract, he'll take that.
Yeah, that Khalil Shakir deal.
He's on 4 years, 8.1 right now.
Well, that's also a second. He's on his rookie deal for a second round pick. Obviously, he's not making a ton of money.
Deal, he's going to take.
If Wan'Dale Robinson starts asking for $20+ million, I'm not giving it to him. He's never had a 1,000-yard season. I don't think he's ever come particularly close. Again, he's a guy that I could very easily see flourishing elsewhere. But at the end of the day, I don't want to tie a ton of money to Wan'Dale Robinson.
Yeah, you don't want to have a Shakir deal then.
Wide receivers. Well, I would love to have Wan'Dale Robinson back on the right contract. And this is, again, what kind of happened with Saquon and
not Shakir then.
With Saquon, with Leonard Williams, with Julian Love. Like, I wound up getting into it a bit with a guy on Twitter the other day about Julian Love specifically. Because, they were listing off, the Giants suck. They've, they let all these players go, and they listed, Leonard Williams. We didn't let him go. We traded him, and that pick that we got in return turned into Brian Burns. So I consider that a wash. Xavier McKinney, hate to see him go. Would be the number 1 guy I'd love to have back right now. Saquon Barkley, hated to see him go. Was more upset about where he went than the fact that he went. And then there's all this talk about, like, the Giants let Julian Love go. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, why? Yeah, he's been really solid for Seattle. Borderline Pro Bowl, if I'm not mistaken. But he was never that for us. He was like a more athletic Tyler Nubin. We had issues with him in coverage. He'd sometimes take terrible angles, letting things get by him that shouldn't have. But you get him in the box. He's a good tackler. He was essentially a more athletic Tyler Nubin. And we all have issues with Nubin this year. And it took years. We offered him a contract that he refused. He then went to free agency. Nobody offered him anything. Tried to come back, but we had already made moves by that point and didn't have the cap space to offer him that same contract that we had originally offered him. So then he went and signed with Seattle on like nearly a minimum deal. Now, Wan'Dale Robinson has certainly proved to be much more reliable than Julian Love, but at the same time, he's not a guy that I'm breaking the bank for. If we can get him back for a Khalil Shakir type deal, I'm doing that. If not, wide receivers, there are so many of them in every draft. And if we do what I think you and I want us to do, and what I think is currently looking like the most likely scenario, we're going to finish with a top 3 pick that we can then trade down, acquire more assets, and target more receivers in the draft. Because I do think we need to go wide receiver.
Yeah, we do. I'm not there with the Shakir deal part. I remember that one. That's a 4 year. It's a 4 year 60, so it's probably about $15 million. The guaranteed $32 million. I don't want to do anything in there except the 4 year deal part. I'll do that with Wan'Dale. I like him, but $60 million. I don't know if we can do that. Or if we even should do that. I think we need to look at maybe going a little bit under that. Not lowballing him, but not that. Maybe 10 or 12 million. I think 10 or 12 is reasonable. The guaranteed money is a whole different topic. I'm not smart enough to know how much to guarantee him based on the overall finances, but I think a $10-12 million deal is suitable. In his case, I think he earned a 4 year 48, but that's kind of where I am with it. But that's just me. I ain't over the finances. I'm just putting it out there. All right, so we got to keep moving, man. So out of all of these guys here, you think we can bring them all back? all the guys that you name back and make it work, along with guys potentially of free agency who probably want to play with us now because we're doing better? Do you see that happening? Or
No.
somebody going to be a lost cause for this?
Someone is definitely going to be a lost cause. Based on everything that I'm hearing, I would imagine it is most likely going to be Belton and Bellinger that we would end up letting go.
That means we keep Jermaine and Wandale. That's fine. That's not bad.
No, it's certainly not bad. I don't know.
And Flott, I guess, too. I don't know where I am with that. I don't know. I mean, you like Flott more than I do. I don't know where I am with that. It depends on what he's looking for.
He's been easily our second best corner, and in a number of games was our best corner. He's not anything special. He is definitely a guy that I would love more as like, maybe if we could put Flott in the slot, drop Phillips a bit because he's had his issues, serious issues in coverage this year. But, that being said, Phillips has been one of our best tacklers.
But there's other problems that we have with Drew beside that part. But I guess it depends on what Flott is asking for. Because I think his value is more on the Giants than off the Giants. Mm-hmm. That's just me personally. I think his value is higher if you stay with us at another contract than go on the street and try to find work potentially as a CB1. It's going to be an uphill climb for that. So yeah. All right. What else we got?
All right. Let's end it on a more positive subject. Eli's up for the Hall of Fame again.
Just as positive?
He made it again to like the semifinal round of cuts.
You seen the article I sent you, right? I'm not here the positive part.
I mean,
I'm not getting the positive
26 modern era players named as semifinalists. Let's see. On offense, we've got 3 quarterbacks. Drew Brees, guaranteed in.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers. I think Eli has a better case than Rivers does, but that's a big question. Wide receiver, Larry Fitzgerald, guaranteed in. Torrey Holt, I don't know. Steve Smith Sr., I feel like he's in. Hines Ward, I don't know. Reggie Wayne, I think that he's in. Jason Witten, I don't know if he gets in as the one tight end that's nominated this year. Then offensive line, Willie Anderson, Lomas Brown, Jari Evans, Richmond Webb, Steve Wisniewski, Marshall Yanda. Offensive line, it's so hard for these guys to get in, especially first ballot. I don't remember how many times that's been the case for these guys. Let's see.
It's not looking good for him.
Yeah. Defensive back, Ronnie Harrison, Earl Thomas, Darren Woodson. Feel like Harrison and Thomas are going to get in. For linebacker, Kuechly and Suggs, I think they both got a great shot. Defensive line, Robert Mathis, Vince Wilfork, Kevin Williams. Oh, God, there's going to be a bunch of the – yeah. I think Eli has a shot simply because of how certain positions are valued. He's definitely not getting in over Brees. Oh, my God, no.
They don't like him for his regular season record, and I think something about Pro Bowl. So I'm like, man, I mean,
I think it's more about the
Pro Bowls mean more to them than they do to me. I'm like, I don't even watch the Pro Bowl. I started watching Pro Bowl years ago for obvious reasons. But he's going to make it in, I guess, but just not maybe not this time, which is like it's grueling. Okay, I love Eli a lot, man.
Eli, Fred Taylor, Torrey Holt, Steve Smith Sr., Reggie Wayne, Adam Vinatieri, Willie Anderson, Jari Evans, Marshall Yanda, Kuechly, Suggs, and Darren Woodson were all finalists for the class of 25 and did not make it. So it's interesting to see where Eli falls amongst those guys in particular. So
Jari Evans and Eli can't be even in the same conversation. No offense to Jari, but
offensive lineman, man.
But there's a lot of guys ahead of him that have been waiting for a while. Huh?
I said it's so hard for offensive linemen to get in.
Yeah,
it's so hard for offensive linemen, dude.
If we got a comment dropping in, I think you pull an upset tonight, dude. You might be right, man. They're jumping in, Chris. You could be totally right, man. It could be an upset tonight. I'm going to sit and just watch. I'm not doing anything else because I've already been down this roller coaster ride for the entire season, so I'm not doing that. But it's definitely a possibility. I think
they said Dart's not going to be running as much. They're not going to call as many designed runs for him because they're concerned about the concussions.
Yeah, well, I don't want him to get his head cracked again. I mean, nobody wants that, but I see a lot of holes in the Patriots game, but defense is going to be key in this. If you can't,
you're going to be missing Will Campbell. That Brian Burns, cool. Abdul Carter, can we get some sacks?
That's cool. All I'm gonna say is this, and we can move on to maybe our last. If you want to talk about the New England game a little bit before we get off air, but you better stop Diggs and Henderson. That's all I'm saying. Because Trevion keep been running over for minutes, and Diggs is like, you better handle them too, boys. Hunter Henry gonna get his 6 receptions for 60 yards. He's gonna get his, but you better make sure that Diggs and Henderson are shut down, or we don't have a chance. That has to happen. So, but at the same time, play teams that are as good or even perhaps better than they are, and we stuck with them. So blow for blow. So see what happens. But thanks for jumping in, King Chris TV. Appreciate you, man. All right. So are you picking the Pats tonight, or are you picking the Giants? On the spot.
Why you got to do me like this? What
you want me to ask you then? What else can I ask you right now?
I think the Pats are gonna win. I think at the end of the day, they are a very well coached team. I think this defense is legit. I'm concerned about our defense still, but at the end of the day, I think it's going to be like other games we've played before, where ultimately we're going to lose, but I think it's going to be a good game. I think the Giants will score some points. I think we're going to look better at times than anybody thought. But at the end of the day, the Patriots are going to be the better team. They're going to be the more well-coached team. I think we're going to make some mistakes. I think we're going to shoot ourselves in the foot a bit with penalties. And I think that's just going to be that.
The only reason why I'm going to hesitate on picking the Giants is not – I feel like even though I told you I'm betting against them because of what I've seen with Daboll and some other things, Bowen, I don't know what the defense is going to look like now because I haven't got a chance to really see it with some kind of longevity. So I don't know if the things that weren't going right under Bowen's tenure will be corrected or not. And in this game, so I am going to hold off saying that. After the bye week, I don't know what I'm going to say. Then all bets are off. But that's enough time for us to show if we got the making of something on this defense or not. Because if anybody needs to know, the Giants need to know this. Do we have something here? Because you and I thought it could be like an elite defense, and we haven't seen the eliteness at all yet. So I don't know what we have, but so it's going to be a big thing. Any coaches coming in, whether it be the head coach that's defensive-minded or a new DC, whatever's going to happen, this defense is definitely going to be a target for whoever comes in because they see the talent that we do. And they're ready to say, you know what, these guys can be a lot better. So perhaps we'll see a little bit of that tonight. If not, we'll go into the bye wounded and we'll come out on the other side and try to figure out what's going to be next for the rest of the year and going into 2026.
Yep.
Anything else, brother?
Nope. I'm just looking forward to the game tonight. I hope my Wi-Fi works because I have YouTube TV set up, and it can get glitchy and laggy and freeze, and it was difficult watching the Packer game. So I'm hoping it's better tonight.
Oh man, we should have won that game. But anyways, thanks again everybody for watching and listening to the Big Blue Lifers podcast. That's Jess. I'm Mr. U. We're talking all things New York Football Giants. We're out of here enjoying the game tonight. I think they're at Foxborough, right? Think they expecting some snow?
No, I think it's home for us. Let me
double
check.
All right.
Nope, it's at Foxborough. You were right.
Okay. They are expecting some snow too, so this could be a low-scoring defensive matchup. Just the kind of game that the Giants like to win. Have a good one, y'all.